Jane, I like your background a lot better than I like mine. That looks beautiful. Jeez. Oh, you're muted. Sorry, I missed that.
You're on mute, Jane. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of George Washington. Is the sun rising or setting?
And Madeline, your mic's not working. This is a good test moment. Anyone else?
Can you hear me now?
There we
We
go.
can.
Any word from Renee or Susie?
None. And I have my eye on the attendees.
Renee came in yesterday afternoon and she said she would be on, so she picked up her printed packet.
Is my sound okay?
Yep.
Good. Now, if I can get the view open. There. Okay. Hello, Lisa. Good to meet you.
Hello, it's nice to meet you too.
Well, what do you think, Tim?
Oh, give her just another 30 seconds and then we'll go ahead and roll without him. We do have a quorum.
Renee's getting in now.
Okay.
I love the Northern Lights. Lisa,
Yeah.
they're great.
I rarely stay up late enough to see them, but I'm always thrilled when I get a chance to watch them.
I am too. I'm hoping to make a trip next fall to get closer and see more.
Good morning. I apologize. I couldn't get my stuff started this morning. My Zoom started this morning.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Montana Board of Public Education, special meeting taking place via Zoom on February 28th, 2024. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
nation under God, indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice.
liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Chris, would you please read the roll call?
Tim Tharp,
Here.
Susie Hedlund, Lisa Schmidt,
Here,
Ron Slinger,
Here,
Madeline Quinlan,
Here.
Jane Hammond,
Here,
Renee Rasmussen, Gavin Mao, Superintendent Arnson, Commissioner Christian, Governor Gianforte.
Right. Thank you. The Board of Public Education encourages the public to participate in board discussions. Persons who wish to participate should contact the meeting administrator via Zoom and identify themselves to either the board chair or the executive director prior to the board's consideration of the matter in which the persons are concerned. Anyone wishing to participate in board discussions will be recognized by the chair in keeping with normal board parliamentary procedure. We discourage public comment on personnel matters and ask that you discuss these issues in private with the board chair. The Montana Board of Public Education is a professional development unit provider. Attending a Board of Public Education meeting may qualify you to receive professional development units. And again, please contact the meeting administrator for information on that. That being said, do we have any visitors Nicole, do we have any visitors online?
None that have their hand raised.
Okay, Lisa, and welcome you to the Board of Public Ed. We will have a little more formal process at our meeting in Helena next month, but I believe my first meeting was one of these special Zooms that we needed to do, and so we will welcome you officially when we come to our full meeting.
Thank you. I look forward
All
to
right.
it.
All right, could you get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll
Motion by
second
Dr.
it.
Slinger, seconded by Madeline Quinlan. Is there any discussion? Public comment? All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Our first agenda item has to do with MSDB, and I'll turn the meeting over to MSDB Chair Renee Rasmussen.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This meeting is not a full report, but a report about to approve the traveling request for the MSDB for Goal Ball. And I hope you all watched the video about Goal Ball. It was quite good. And so, Paul, I'm going to turn this over to you. Is Paul here?
Board Member Rasmussen, remember Paul said he wasn't going to be able to be with us today.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten. So have you guys watched the Goal Ball presentation?
Yes. Very
Did you
impressive.
agree it was fun?
It was very impressive.
Yes, especially blindfolded. They're not going to get me out there to demonstrate it. With that in mind, I am going to move that we approve the out-of-state travel request for MSDB as listed in the agenda packet.
Motion from the committee is to approve the out-of-state travel by MSDB Goalball team. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Slinger. Is there any discussion? For the record, just want to note that this is at no cost. They have sponsorship, scholarship to take care of everything. It's a great opportunity for the kids. All right. Any further board discussion? Any public comment? All those in favor of the MSDB out-of-state travel signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Our second agenda item has to do with taking action on the public charter contracts. As per MCA, we had a certain number of days after approval to approve the contracts, and I will turn the meeting over to our charter committee chair, Chair Hammond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're delighted to have reached this milestone in implementing the provisions of House Bill 549 that was adopted by the legislature and approved by the governor during the last legislative session. The public school charter bill has been codified in Title 20, Chapter 6, Part 8 of the Montana Code Annotated. And on January 19th, you will recall that the Board of Public Education approved 19 public charter school applications under the terms of 20-6-806. Now, the charter school applications at this special meeting of the board, we have reviewed and are prepared to recommend approving 19 contracts, which will authorize the opening of public charter schools in Montana for the first time on July 1st, 2024. Since our January meeting, the staff, the charter subcommittee, the schools, and other board members have worked diligently with the attorneys and our contractor, which was Schoolworks LLC out of Massachusetts. We've endeavored to implement the provisions of the law completely and to be transparent and flexible as we could in working with the schools and developing these charters while focusing on implementing best practices recognized in charter schools. The exceptional work of contractor Tom Franta and our director, McCall Flynn, deserve special recognition in this regard. They must be commended for helping us to achieve these goals. We're blessed by our good working relationships with the schools, our education partners, the school trustees, and many others who were involved in developing these contracts. I think if people are watching and interested in finding, let me read where they are in the packet if I could, and that will remind us of the list of the 19 charters with which we will be acting. Billings Early College School, page 11 of the packet. Great Falls Core Elementary Schools, page 201 of the packet. Kalispell Rising Wolf Charter, page 334 of the packet. Missoula Teach Academy, page 353 of the packet. Billings Multilingual Academy, page 30 of the packet. Bozeman Bridger Charter, page 106. Bozeman Charter School, page 87, and they have requested an implementation delay until July 2025. East Helena 227 Academy, 163. Frenchtown Bronx Fast Track Public Charter is on page 125. Hamilton Bitterroot Polytech, page 68. Helena Mount Ascension Learning Academy, page 277. Helena Project for Alternative Learning Academy, page 239. Kalispell Pace Academy, page 182. Corvallis Distance Learning Center, charter, page 296. Corvallis Transformational Learning, page 315. Missoula Connect Academy, page 144. Boulder Jefferson Academy, page 258. Helena Montessori Charter, page 222, 220, and Billings Opportunity School, page 49. And at this time, I'd like to ask McCall Flynn, who worked so diligently on all of this for the last month and a half, if she would like to add some additional details for us. McCall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You certainly captured a lot of the work that's been done. So I really just want to say thank you all for recognizing that. I think it was really wonderful to spend time with a charter contractor in Schoolworks and understanding the work that they do across the US and the work that they then did to support us. I can tell you that they commented numerous times that the work that they were doing in Montana was unlike anything that they were doing across the US. So in true fashion, we were unique in that way. I do want to give another shout out to our local school district folks. They really worked diligently to help us execute these contracts. And by the time that we finalized contracts and were able to share them with them, there was very little time for them to review them internally, return with a signature from the chair of their governing board. And I know it was a short turnaround, and I recognize that, oftentimes that's very stressful and frustrating. So I just really want to recognize the work that they all did to sort of meet our timeline and make this all happen and help us get to where we are today. Madam Chair, I will highlight some of the next steps that we'll be working on in the office and be bringing to you all as a board. After today's meeting, we'll send fully executed contracts back to each charter school for their records. We'll also begin working to develop a timeline for submission of many of the reports that are mentioned in the contracts. We'll also work with some of the school business officials to develop a form that is required for the submission of the financial statements. We'll also be drafting criteria to support some of the language around the development of the performance frameworks, which is a very huge element and component of these contracts that certainly will take place later. It's part of one of the exhibits. So those are some of the immediate steps I see us taking, certainly part of our conversations and board meetings in the future. Madam Chair, that's all I have, and happy to turn it back to you and answer questions if board members have them.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Just a comment as from working behind the scenes with this with McCall, for the rest of the board. I think it would have been the desire of our executive director to have these contracts be about 3 to 5 pages long, whereas our contractor wanted them to be close to 30 pages long and with very much detailed as far as that. And I think one of the things that anybody who was involved in this process would learn was the heavy legal obligation that we have to make sure that we are executing these and making sure that whatever we've created here for either us or future board members to deal with is something that is enforceable, something that we can come back and say, you are continuing to do good work, keep it up, or you are not fulfilling the terms of your contract and doing something that this board has never done with regular accreditation, and that is to pull a charter and say you can no longer operate. So I think we've got a good solid legal background and a great move forward toward understanding that process. Jane, I think Renee had a question.
Yes. Renee?
As I read the contract, I was actually struck, Tim, very much by what you spoke about is the number of reporting requirements. I know this is early in the process, but in reading this, I kind of put on my old superintendent's hat, and I wondered if there had been any thought about doing a one-pager list with timelines and what is due when. Just yes, I see McCall nodding. Would you Ms. If you wouldn't mind, would you answer that?
McCall?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Board Member Rasmussen. We'll definitely put together that timeline. I think it's actually really important to have something like that all of our public charter schools can see what the expectation is and when those reports are due. Some of them have like monthly, like a no later than June 30th report, and some of them are quarterly. So I think having the ability to sort of see that in a one-pager and when all of those are due, and
Right.
making sure that we can also align some of those timelines when possible, so we're not asking them for something every month. So I think that's actually really important, and we'll be bringing that to you guys as well.
Madam
Thank
Chair.
you.
Madam Clinton.
Thank you. Good morning. I just also wanted to express my thanks as a member of the Public School Charter Committee. A lot of great work and partnership went on here. And I want to reiterate, I think, something I said in January, which was, I think this provides a lot of exciting opportunities for schools. In reading all the applications from school districts, you could just feel the energy and excitement that they had about the opportunities that these public charter school offerings would be able to provide in their schools. So thank you, McCall, for all your good work, and thank you, Board Member Hammond, for leading the process. And I'm ready to move along then at breakneck speed. And actually, thank you to the school districts as well. We're still holding hands here to move this process forward and create a best practice for how to implement these charter schools in Montana.
It's very exciting. It really is. It's a true milestone. And I love the way everybody has worked together cooperatively to bring this to fruition today. Other questions or comments?
I just have one.
And
Oh,
Beck-
go ahead, Renee.
Thank you again. I see that part of the requirements are to visit every year and or to visit every school in this first year. I would just like to say that I would just love to be part of that. Yeah, the first year, and then to visit periodically whenever afterwards. I would really like to be a part of that. And who's going to read all these reports? I just wonder if the committee came up with a plan for that.
Excellent questions, Board Member Rasmussen. Yes, I would actually really like to have board members participate in some of those visits in the first year. I think it'll sort of help us as we continue to work through what are true charter schools and how you continue to authorize new charter schools in the state. I think it'll also help as we think about continuous improvement and how to support the work of these charter schools, given that they do have some unique elements. To your second question, part of the beauty of this is that we get to create the form that we receive at least the financial statements on. And I think that's a good question because Chris, Julie, and I in the office have talked about getting meaningful data, stuff that means something to us and helps this board determine if it merits renewal. That's the whole purpose of getting this information, is to
Right.
be able to analyze it in a way that means something to you all and helps you decide whether they should be up for renewal in 5 years or not. And so there is definitely going to be some ongoing conversations to ensure that that's the type of data that we're getting, because I think, and to be very transparent, Chris, Julie, and I are not school business officials. We are not experts in analyzing this type of data. And so it has to be something that makes sense and means something to us. And frankly, isn't just extra work for the school districts.
Right. Yes, Dr. Thurp.
And regarding those visits, these visits aren't going to be like when we've gone and visited school, all of us together and spending a half a day. We would never get anything else done if that was what we were doing. So it may mean one or two of us, Ron and I swinging down when we're in the area, swinging by the ones in Billings. If their travels are taking them to the Flathead. So it might take some formal and informal working with the board, looking at who is going to be on the road to different areas of the state and when to have these visits and reporting back. So that's something that we still need to work our way through. And regarding the reporting, McCall is working very much behind the scenes with MASBO and MTSBA, making sure that we are not burdening the schools with things that they're might already be doing. And so trying to streamline as much of that as possible with reports that they already have to do, and then working directly with MASBO as far as those reports, what sort of things are possible, and working with them and working with their executive director to make this as painless as possible on their end. We definitely don't want data just for the heck of having data and not digging it through it.
All right. Further conversation? Are we ready for a motion? Oh, Renee. Okay.
I apologize. I made notes. But
Okay,
this is the
that's
last
good.
one I have. On 0.88, talking about termination, and especially in light of your comments, Dr. Tharp and McCall, about what happens if a charter school has to close. This section is about the closing of a charter school that wasn't successful for some reason. I see nothing in there about recouping the money or anything like that. So have we talked about, I didn't see it in here, and maybe I just missed it, about the frequency or how the charter school is paid all up front every month, so those two things were going together in my mind. Could anybody address that? Thank you.
McCall?
Yeah, sure. Board Member Rasmussen, the way that we've discussed it with the Office of Public Instruction and some others about the funding mechanism is that basic entitlements this first year will be allocated based on estimated enrollment, so assumptions that they're making. And then the A and B would flow just like it would for any other district. And the reason for that is it seemed like the most fair way to move forward, given that the basic entitlement, I think, is a really big piece of these applications, and having that funding on the front end to support the work of those charters makes a lot of sense. The A and B piece, in the way that it's going to flow, also makes sense in the sense that a lot of these students will likely be students that are already part of the district. So rather than double counting them on the front end and then having to sort of analyze that data throughout. We thought it just made sense to use actual enrollment as that funding goes. To your question though about termination, I'm not sure that I have an answer for you on that yet and what that would mean for the funding. I know that there's quite a bit of language in the bill on the board's responsibilities should a charter close. And so I would have to go back and read some of that to better understand what that would mean for us and the funding in general.
And as an intermediate step, Member Rasmussen, we have corrective action provisions that are spelled out in that same section 8. So we wouldn't get to the termination for a while, I wouldn't expect.
Just looking ahead.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to add to that. I mean, as Director Flynn said, the school funding for these districts will go out on the monthly schedule that all other districts receive. And it's certainly, you know, the Office of Public Instruction has had to deal in the past with school districts that might close during the year, whether they don't have any kids or whether they've had some kind of natural, event or disaster that
Right.
the school is no longer operational for some period of time. So, yes, there may be some unique pieces to the charter schools, but I think there's history about dealing with school closures mid-year and certainly at the end of a year.
Anything else? Give it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Chair Hammond, do you have a motion?
I do. I move to approve the public charter school contracts as listed in the agenda packet starting on page 10.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Board Member Rasmussen. Any further board discussion? Any public comment?
Seeing
Any
none.
public, no public comment online? No public comment in my room? All right. All those in favor of the motion on approving the contracts for these public charter schools, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any additional public comment on any other item not on the agenda? Well, seeing none, I want to thank everybody for their time. Thank everyone who has worked on getting these contracts together. And our next meeting will be on Monday, March 18th, 8:30 a.m. in room 152 of the Montana Capitol. And it will be a long day, but we will get everything done in a one-day session. And so it might be a lengthy day, assuming people are going to be coming in. So I'm assuming you're already working with Julia regarding your travel arrangements if need be. And if there is nothing else, I will declare this meeting adjourned at 8:57 a.m. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.